So I've got Newforma open here, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my Alpengrove project. And the Action Item Activity Center is it can be in different places on your home screens depending on how you've configured your home screen, but it's the one that says Action Items and has little check marks on it. And I'll just open up my Action Item Activity Center, and we'll give you a quick tour of what it looks like. So I'm seeing the open action items. I've got 24 open action items. We can see other types of action items. We can see closed action items, deferred action items. We can see open action items that are overdue, or action items that are coming due in the next 8 days. So there's different ways that you can filter this list. They have an ID number associated with them. That we create that for you. They have a subject. You can assign a discipline to your action items and a priority level. You can assign them to members of your project team and give them due dates. So there's all kinds of fun things you can do in here. And again, we can also, if you're maybe you want to see all the action items assigned to a particular team member, so you can just come in here, type in Peter's name, and we'll show you all the action items that are assigned to Peter. So there's lots of ways to kind of narrow this list down. But to create a new action item, at the top left, there's a button here. It says Identify an Action Item. And if you click that, it'll bring up the new action item window here. So your action item needs a subject. So we have a problem with the elevator doesn't meet code. And having trouble spelling today. We can give this a status, so I'm going to make this, this is the most popular one here, waiting on someone else. And we'll pick a priority, we'll call this high priority. We can assign a discipline to it, so we'll select that. And again, if you guys, if you don't have a question, go ahead and mute your line, that way it'll keep the noise down on there. On the little GoToMeeting panel, there's a green microphone. You can click that, and it'll mute you. Okay, so we can assign a discipline to this. So maybe we'll call this one mechanical. Makes sense. We can assign it to someone on our team. So we'll click the Assign To button, and here's our list of team members. And who do we want to assign this to? We'll assign this to Mary Johnson and Bob Welder. We can carbon copy members of our project team. So maybe we want to carbon copy, you could carbon copy a group if you want to. I don't really want to carbon copy anyone, so I'm not going to do that. The action item ID number here says auto number because we're going to automatically number it for you, so you don't have to type anything in there. Then I'm going to check the due date box, and we're going to make sure this gets done by next Friday, so that's our due date. And then we can enable reminders. So if we enable the reminders here, that's going to remind the people we've assigned the action item that they need to complete this by that due date. So 2 days before that due date, they'll start getting an email reminding them about it until it's been completed. And our reminders are pretty intelligent. You're going to get one email listing everything that's overdue on all your projects. You don't get multiple emails for each item. Then in the description, you can describe the problem. So we can put our problem in there. And if you click the little stamp button, that'll put in your name, the date and time, so we can track that. So when you come in tomorrow and you make some more comments, you can timestamp that also, so you can keep track of who made the comment and when. We'll talk about the email log a little bit later, so I'm going to skip that for now. But then we'll go over here to supporting documents. So in supporting documents, you can link files in your project folder to your action item. So maybe you wrote a letter to the city about this issue. So we could just come in here and link our letter. Maybe there's some photos of an existing condition or something. We want to attach those photos to it. We can do that. So now it just knows that these items are related to that action item. It doesn't copy them. It doesn't move them. It just knows that they're linked. Down at the bottom, you can apply keywords to your action items. So this is related to closeout. And then at the very bottom, there's a checkbox here that says Send Change Notification. And if you check that box and click Create, a couple things will happen. It's going to create the action item, and then it's going to create an email addressed to anyone I've assigned or carbon copy this, letting them know about it. So any questions before I hit the Create button? All right, so when we hit Create, it'll log that, and here's the email. So this is an action item has been assigned to Mary Johnson and Bob Welder, and that email includes the basic information about it. So now all you have to do is click your Send and File in Action Item button. And if you remember back to the basic training, usually this button says Send and File in Project, but it says Send and File in Action Item because we know this email belongs to an action item. And we know because at the end of the subject line, we automatically added this little tag on here. That little tag tells us which project and which action item this email belongs to. So when I click the Send and File button, it's automatically going to send that and file it into that action item. So if I go to that new action item here, number 76, I can select it. And down here in the description, I've got all my notes. In the email log, I'm going to have all the emails related to it. And in the supporting documents, I'm going to have any files related to that action item. So when someone calls me up to talk about that problem, I don't have to look for all that stuff. It's all in one place. Or if I'm out of the office and someone else needs to find it, they can find it easily. They don't have to call me while I'm out golfing. So that's a quick way to make an action item using this little Identify an Action Item button. But most of my problems come to me via email. Someone emails me asking me to solve a problem for them. So if we go into Outlook and we have an email like this one right here that we want to turn into an action item, we can just go up to our New Format toolbar. And on the New Format toolbar, different versions of Outlook will look a little bit different. But in Outlook 2010, what we're doing at the bottom part of the File and Project button here is a little menu. And within that, there's a button here that says File As. It has a little magic wand on it. So when you click that, New Format asks which project this email is related to. So I'll select the Alpine Grove project. And then it wants to know what you want to do with the email. So we want to turn the email into a new action item. So when we click OK, it's going to take information from that email, like the subject and the body, and put them into the action item for me. So you have a little action item starter kit here. The email's already filed into that action item. In fact, you don't actually have to do anything else at this point. You can just hit Create, and we've now tracked that email as a new action item. We also add that tag here to the email in the inbox. So if you hit reply to that, and you write a reply to Sarah, you can send and file that. So back in New Format now, we'll have action item 81 here with those two emails in the log. So we automatically build that email log for you. So I showed you earlier how to find all the action items assigned to Peter, so I could do that. And maybe I want to email Peter, ask for a status update on these, because these red ones here are late, and I want to find out what's going on. So I filtered it down to just the ones assigned to Peter. Now I can go over here to create a report. If I click that, I can choose a format. I could pick Excel if I wanted to export the report to Excel, maybe print it out, take it to a meeting, but I want to email this over to Peter. So I'm going to do send report in an email. And that just creates a little email back here in Outlook with that list of action items assigned to Peter in it. So just put Peter's name up here. And can send that over. That's it for action items. Again, any questions about action items out there? Is anyone still there? Y'all are very, very quiet.
No questions.
Okay, well, I'll keep going. So the next thing we're going to look at is the Meeting Minutes Activity Center. And I'm going to just go ahead and open it up. And what you're going to see here is a list of my meetings. So I have 25 meetings in my list. And these are generally going to be meetings that are coming up very shortly or past meetings. We do handle meeting series. So for example, this weekly coordination meeting repeats every week, so you'll see it in here. But we don't show every occurrence of that series going out into the future. The list would kind of stretch on forever. I'll show you how we deal with those here a little bit later. But you can add a new meeting right here in Newforma. You go over here to the Add menu, and you'll have a list of what we call event types. And these event types, you guys can modify this list of event types. You don't have to keep the ones we give you. You can add more, remove these. But with your meetings, you guys probably invite people to your meetings. And Newforma does not create meeting requests. So if you would like to invite people to your meeting, you're not going to want to create your meeting this way. What you're going to want to do is go into Outlook. And on your Outlook calendar, if we wanted to set up a meeting for next Wednesday at 10 a.m., you guys already know how to do this, right? You just go in here, make a new meeting. We'll invite Peter to that, and we'll invite Adam to that, and Mary Johnson. We'll put in a subject here. We'll call this, let's see, I don't know, elevator issue meeting. We can give this location, right, second floor. You guys all know how to do this already. After you've set up your meeting request here, don't click send anymore. There's a new button here at the top that says send and create Newforma meeting. And when you click that, Newforma is going to ask you which project we're talking about. So I'll pick the project, and then you'll see a brand new meeting here pop up. All these gray boxes came from Outlook. You can't change this stuff in Newforma. If we let you change it here, then they wouldn't be the same meeting. So if you want to change this stuff, you'd have to go back into Outlook later and do that. We do have to specify the meeting type. So this is going to be, we're just going to call this a conversation. And then a good meeting has an agenda. So we're going to go over here to the Meeting Content tab. And there's a little checkbox here. It says Set the Agenda for this event. When you click that little checkbox, Newforma brings up this window. It says, would you like to select an agenda or discussion items from a previous meeting? Most of your meetings are really just continuations of other meetings. So this would offer to copy an agenda from another meeting and let you edit it for your new one. I don't want to do that, though. We're just going to make a brand new one. So then here in the agenda, this is where you can type free form notes about your agenda. So if you want to put comments in there, little notes, whatever you want, that's where that goes. You can also come in here and you can make lists if you want to. Yeah, this is just like Word, how you're probably making your meeting notes today. But the fun part is this discussion items box here in the middle. Because the thing you're going to talk about at your meetings, you're going to talk about your action items. So we can go over here to link project items, and we could go link our action items to our meeting. And it will add those action items and their information to the agenda. You can also quickly add new action items here while you're setting up the agenda. Any questions here? So when we're done with the agenda, we're ready to send this out. We'll click OK. Newforma is going to go ahead and send the meeting request back in Outlook. It's going to create the meeting in Newforma, and then it creates a new email addressed to my attendees. And that new email has the meeting agenda attached to it. So I'll just double-click this PDF so you can see what it looks like. You'll have your logo up there and the event type, and there's my freeform notes, and below that it lists the action items that we're going to talk about. So then you just click your Send End File in Meeting button. So back in Newforma, that new meeting is going to be right up here at the top. We can see the agenda and the discussion items right here without even having to open up the meeting. So now you go have the meeting. I can't help you with that part. You have to do that on your own. But after the meeting, or during the meeting, I guess, you can just double-click on the meeting in Newforma. I'm going to go back to the Detail tab. I'm going to click this Record Meeting Details button. When you click that, it copies in the planned start time as your actual, and we never start on time. So I'm going to make this 10:10 a.m. And Peter didn't show up. Guy's kind of a jerk. But Bob did come, so I'll add him to the list of attendees. And then on the Meeting Content tab, if in that meeting we talked about our action item, like this one, we could just double-click on it, and we could add our new notes here. And put another little timestamp in there. And click OK. And if you had a new action item that came out of that meeting, you could put that in here. And then if you have comments or in freeform notes about your meeting, they can go in this meeting notes box. So when you're ready to distribute the minutes, you would just click OK. It logs all that in Newforma, and it creates a new email for you with another PDF attached. And this PDF is going to say meeting minutes on it. And it's got your start time, the freeform notes about the meeting. And if you scroll down, it lists detailed information about each action item. So we can send and file that. And again, anytime we can go over here to the email log, and we can see all the emails that were filed into that particular meeting. And that's meeting minutes. If you have a recurring meeting, like this weekly coordination meeting series, Like I said, we don't show you all the future occurrences there on the calendar, or the list would go on forever. So what we've done here, if you'd like to set up the agenda for an upcoming version of that meeting, just select the series and you can go up here to open upcoming meeting, and this will show you the next 10 or so occurrences of that meeting. So if we want to set up the meeting for next Wednesday, set up the agenda for next Wednesday's meeting, we can just select it here from the list and it'll let us create the agenda for that occurrence of that meeting. And then it'll show up in our list. One of the things I particularly like about this feature, if I go over to action items, I can go select one of my action items, like this lead submittal requirements action item. And I can go over here, related items, and this is going to show me all the meetings that I've talked about this action item at. So, I can see we've had this action item on 20 meetings. We should probably get it wrapped up so it quits costing us money. Or if you want to go back and find the minutes from that particular meeting, you can do that just by double-clicking here. So the next thing we'll look at is the project timeline. And the project timeline is very similar to meeting minutes. In fact, the same information appears here. It's just a different way to look at it. There are 3 views of the timeline. There's a calendar view, a journal view, and a log view. The journal view looks like a timeline, right? You can scroll to the left to view the past, or scroll to the right to view the future. The calendar view is going to look like a calendar. So here you can see your meetings displayed right there on the calendar. There are a couple other useful features in the timeline. One of the things I like, if you click on the little filter here at the top right, you can have your action item due dates displayed on that timeline. So there I can see my action item due dates. They're always due on Friday for some reason. And in the journal view, you can click on a particular day, like today, and this is going to show you anything that happened today. So it looks like we closed an RFI and worked with some submittals, we filed an email, created a PDF. Anything that happens in the project that day, it's going to show up down there. And if you'd like, you can select arrange days. Like you could click on Friday and drag over here to Wednesday, and it'll show you all the activity in the project for those 3 days. We also have the ability to share your meeting or your project timeline, your project events with Outlook. So if you'd like your project calendar to show up in Outlook, you can go over here to Timeline Utilities and click Add to Outlook and subscribe to updates. And if you select that, it takes your project calendar and it adds it right next to your own calendar. So I can see that elevator one's on both my calendars, but I don't go to this weekly coordination meeting, so it's not on my calendar. And you can click this button right here and it'll overlay the 2 calendars on top of each other. And you can add as many project calendars as you want into Outlook here. We can also add some extra types of events in the timeline that you can't do in meeting minutes. We have the ability to add milestones, tasks, and phases here. So a milestone is pretty simple. It's basically a name and a date. So they have a title, so you might call this 75% design development. And that's going to be June 20th. So there's a question in the DC office. Feel free to unmute your phone there.
This is Joanne in the Washington office. I just wanted to find out if when you add these projects to your Outlook calendar, if you go to add something to your own calendar, will it let you know that you're double booked?
No, the project calendar won't show as busy for you because it's not actually part of your calendar. So, meetings that you're going to go to, you should have they're going to be on both calendars. The primary goal of the project one would be really for events and, things that are related to the project but that you might not necessarily be attending. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's there, but it's not there.
Right. Any other questions? Okay. So let's see, we talked about how to share that. We looked at a milestone. Let's go take a look at that milestone. Out here there's the 75% DD milestone. You can also add phases, so this is kind of like a milestone, but it's got a start and an end. So we could call this design development. And this is going to run from May 1st to June 29th. So there's our DD phase. You have the ability to print the calendar and all the normal calendar stuff. So the next thing we'll look at is how InfoExchange fits into this equation. So I am currently logged into InfoExchange as an external team member. I'm logged in as a contractor. And I can open up that Alpengrove project that we've been working in. And I have the ability as an external team member to view the action item log. So the contractor or consultant, whoever you've got in here, can pull up that action item list. And what we're going to do is we're going to show that team member any action items that they were assigned to or copied on. So Bob can see these action items here because they're assigned to him. And he can open up one of these action items like this one. And he can see the description. We have the ability to show him the email log. He'd only see emails that he was copied on. He wouldn't see, internal emails. But Bob cannot, edit or create new action items here. He can pretty much just see ones that you've created. He does have the ability to send an email related to them. But that's pretty much it. Also, Bob would have the ability to view the project calendar on InfoExchange. So if Bob opens up the project calendar, he'll see any meetings again that he was invited to or copied on, which apparently is not very many. Let me go back in time, see if we've got anything for him. No, we'll look at this a different way here in a minute. Bob can also click on this link right here, and he can add the project calendar to his own Outlook, just like you can. So I'm going to log out as Bob, and I'm going to log in as an internal team member. So if one of you logs in, you can open up your project, and you can pull up the action item log. And this is going to show you all the action items, not just the ones that you're part of. So you can see the entire action item list. You can also create new action items here on Info Exchange. So if you're at the client's office and you're in a meeting and you'd like to create some action items, just pull out your iPad and you can start creating them on Info Exchange. You can also click on any one of the action items here, click the little pencil, and that will let you modify that action item. So if you want to change the status or add more notes, you can do that from here. And then you can pull up the project calendar and you can see the meetings. You can click on any one of these meetings, double click on it, and this will show you, if the meeting has not happened yet, you'll get the agenda, and if the meeting's over, you'll see the meeting minutes. And this is what your external team member would see also. Any questions in Info Exchange here? So let's see. I think that really covers all the content in those 3 areas. We finished pretty early here. There weren't a lot of questions. Donna, is there something you'd like me to cover in addition to these 3 things, or what would you like to do? All right. Well, thank you all. I hope everyone found this useful. And if you guys have any questions, please let us know. And have a good weekend, since it's Friday afternoon here.